Hey everyone, welcome back to Open. So the Oye group is a Bushwick-based creative incubator for local and immigrant New York City artists, students, and community members of all ages. Their art is grounded in the act of listening, hence the name Oye Group, and they present an eclectic mix of theater, dance, poetry, music, video installations, and film through festivals and productions. And joining us to share more is Oye Group's founder and creative director, Modesto Flako Jimenez.
Hello. Hello,
Hello.
hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Artistic director.
Artistic director.
Yes, yes. I don't want to take the creative role.
You don't want to take the creative role? Okay, but you're the founder, and so technically you are.
Yeah, I know. But all these roles.
And let's talk to that. Like, let's speak to this role that you've chosen to take on in founding Oye Group.
Yeah. It was a need in Bushwick during the early 2010s. I just realized when I got back from college and started cab driving, I started seeing both sides, like the gentrifying side and the local side, and listening to both stories. And it was a moment for me, since a lot of my college friends were moving into the neighborhood, for me to like, how do I find a place with art, because that's what I know, for both sides to be able to speak about how uncomfortable it is right now. And that became one of our first festivals, which like I started creating spaces for us to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, addressing the current issues that we were all facing as artists or as community members that didn't even know they were artists already. So just figuring out a platform for both groups to come together and be like, yeah, what's happening? Yeah, we both broke as artists, but what's happening? So
We're both broke, right?
so just
There's no discrimination in
you know,
that department.
like we're finding a nice space to be able to like be uncomfortable and address the current issues.
Yeah, I like that. Being comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? Because it's like I'm saying, there's no discrimination when it comes to being an artist.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, unless you're over there doing the commercialized and, all of that.
To
but-
each his own.
Right.
Búscate tu funda.
Right.
As long as you don't step on it, that's really like my thing. Is like,
Right.
do you as long as you don't step on somebody, right? Like try to not
Exactly.
step on somebody.
Exactly, right. But we're talking about artistry and the impact that it has on community
Yeah.
and in communication, for that matter, which is
Yeah.
what we're talking about
Yeah.
right now, right? And so you actually amplify different genres. You also produce festivals. I was reviewing all of your stuff, and I got to see the style of inclusivity that is demonstrated. It's obviously very intergenerational.
Yeah.
And I love that you are really creating spaces where people are working together, not just working on their own individual craft in a space, even
Yeah.
though that's offered.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that because I was really taken by the mural that was being designed by all these youngsters. And it does something because it breaks another level of ice in them just being together in their world, but like alongside each other,
Yeah.
creating the bigger picture,
Yeah.
which is metaphoric as well
Yeah.
in what you're doing.
I think you're talking about Summer Arts Festival, where we invite a bunch of kids to paint their picture, fill in the blank. What do you want to color? What do you want to be? And in those festivals, we actually, again, it goes back to the mission at hand for me at the beginning of the company is like, how do I ask my college friends and how do I ask my local friends to come together now and in this festival give back together? It's all uncomfortable for us as adults, but these kids don't know that, right? So how do we bring to them some art and some light together while we're as adults facing whatever we're facing? But like, how do we share our art? How do we bring in some type of tool for community to
Right.
be able to like support each other?
Right.
Just creating those spaces through different festivals to me is really, it just becomes really fascinating to like, okay, we're gonna create ghetto hors d'oeuvres, and that's just for the local and gentrifier to figure out if they can create a poem together, right? And
I love that. I love that, ghetto hors d'oeuvres.
and we'll serve you cheese whiz on a cracker and baguette with like caviar, right?
Right,
So like
yeah.
we'll play and have fun with.
And that's its own art as
That's
well.
its
That's
own-
culinary art, right? But there's language being spoken in finding harmony within the fusion.
And it's not about finding the answer, but just
Right.
about being uncomfortable with all of our thoughts and addressing that and
Right.
eating, because
Right.
every one of our festival has food.
Right.
Right, so we're always eating. The second festival will be Oje Avant-Garde, which is like, oh, I loved what I did at Ghetto Hors d'oeuvres, so let me develop a 10-minute piece now. And then the third festival will be One Catches Light, that if you love it, okay, we can't produce 10 character plays, but we can produce your solo show and do justice to that. So we make you go through these 3 festivals, and then we do the community festival that is like, let's just give back, right? And that's like our festival series. And then we produce shows that are like community driven in the sense of like, we want to reallocate all the funding back to the block. So shout out to New York Theater Workshop, Bushwick Star, The Tank, OJ Group. We came together, and during the pandemic in 2021, we put up a production called Taxilandia, where we reallocated a lot of the funding back to the block. So if you
Nice.
had a business, we will pay you a monthly fee to promote an artist on one of the TVs that we will bring into that business, and then also create an infomercial for your business. So it's like figuring out, how do we reallocate funding, how do we highlight the local, and yeah, just give back and get out the way, because we all know how to do our work.
Right. Right.
So it's just providing capital for that.
Right. I love this. I love your whole design, right? Because
Tratando.
tratando, pero you know what? It's the consciousness behind it, right? Because it's like the expansion is happening internally, but through different sectors of like, now we're communicating, now we're communicating, now we're communicating. And I'm referencing communicating because your company's name is Oye, right?
Yeah.
And so these festivals, I just want clarity for our audience. What does the calendar look like in a year, and how do you lead up, and how do you decide what production or who that solo artist is going to be? How do you do all of that? Like, is this membership based?
Nah, everything's free. Everything's free.
We love
and
that
I
word.
love saying that.
We love
Right,
that word
like
too.
we run an artist development, right? That we pay the artist $3,000 for them to develop whatever they want to develop. They can just rest for the year if that's what they want. Take these $3,000 is not a lot. That's two months rent in New York City.
Right.
Probably in a rent control apartment.
Right.
So
Keeping it real.
just we try to ground ourselves in that moment of like, we're listening, but we're also not gonna lie to ourselves that we have some capital that we don't. So I'm really clear and conscious about making sure that what we can give is something that it's not gonna hurt us
Right.
by giving it out, right?
Right.
We're not gonna like hurt ourselves by making sure you're good.
Just out of
So
curiosity, but how do you sustain? Like, where's the fundraising coming from? You're
Grants
doing
are lovely.
writing? Yeah, grants are lovely. So
lovely.
you're a grant writer as well.
I'm not. We
No,
have.
you're
We
not, but you
actually
have
have.
grant
We
writers.
actually just hired our first executive director. Shout out to Victoria Isabella King. Shout out to the company Yuridia Jimenez, Kevin Torres, my right hand, co-founder of the company, Adriana Asensio, Tyler Diaz, all Latinos trying to do it for the block, right? And when funding, now is when we're at that space of growth where we had to hire an executive director, because we're
Amazing.
realizing, hey, we're growing, and if we're gonna grow, now we need to respect this foundation that needs to be happening.
Right.
So Victoria Isabella King came in, and it's kind of like whipping us into shape to make sure that we respect that.
The
You need to
structure,
go.
the
You need to go
administrative
get
structure.
foundation money.
Right,
You need to go
right,
get
right.
all these other budget fundraising moments that, as an artist, I really don't
Right.
dance in that world
Right.
like that. But I understand that it's needed if we want to sustain.
Right.
So having a lot of fun, figuring out sustainability, and still keeping the company's mission of listening and having fun. So like that's me driving it to like in May 23rd we have our first benefit party where all of our friends who now actually have a name are supporting us by coming together and like, yeah, let's all party together and let's see if our name gets you something.
That's
So
beautiful.
it's moments of that, right? Like
Try. Love it.
try.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I wish we had more time because
Same.
I know.
Same.
It's all right. It's all
And
right.
be like that.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know.
I know.
I know.
Tú sí eres linda, Dios mío, qué cura contigo.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you. I love everything that you're doing, and
Thank you.
I'm all about leaving things better than we found them. And obviously, that is your mission. So we applaud you,
Thank you
and
for
we
giving me the
acknowledge you.
platform.
And thank you for coming all the way up to the BX to share your Brooklyn
Hey,
endeavors.
shout out to the Bronx. Shout out to Roya Marsh, an amazing poet from out here who I love, and it's out here doing the real work for the Bronx.
Bravo, bravo, bravo.
Gracias.
Everyone, Modesto Flako Jimenez, founder and artistic director of Oye Group. And once again, if you're interested in learning more, you can visit oyegroup.org. All right, stay tuned. There's more open after the break.